Decluttering isn't just about stuff, it's also about feelings. And sometimes those feelings are shame or guilt or grief. That's why decluttering can be a lot harder than it seems on like everyone's Instagram and YouTube videos. Today, I want to talk about the emotional side of decluttering, the feelings that can come up, and why it's okay to be gentle with ourselves while doing it. If we haven't met yet, my name is Isabel, and on this channel, we talk all about embracing your weird in order to build a better brand, business, and life. So let's start with the first one that usually comes up, which is shame. And shame is that little voice in our head that tells us like someone else wouldn't have let it get this bad, or you should have dealt with this by now, or do you see how long you've had this like that, or how long you've been living this way? And that little voice is an asshole, but it can also be a paralyzing asshole, and it can make you feel like you've failed before you've even started. Instead of you realizing that you're finally sitting down to do the thing you said you were gonna do, you are sitting down and you're feeling like, why isn't this done yet? It's tricky and it's heavy and it's sticky, and it usually keeps you from taking the first step, which is why I'm mentioning it first. But what I want you to remember is that clutter is not a moral failure. Now, that like moral failure phrase, I've heard it a lot from Casey Davis. I've talked about her work before on this channel. And what I mean by that is that having a cluttered space is not proof that you're lazy or incapable or whatever else your brain is telling you. It's just evidence that you've been living your life. That's it. It's evidence that you've been living your life and that you have a lot of things in your life that are of higher priority than decluttering a drawer. That doesn't sound so bad. Maybe if we had the time, we would have done it already. Maybe if we had the energy, we would have done it already. And maybe not. Maybe we would have prioritized something else that brings us joy, and that's okay as well. So let go of the shame. Let go of that voice that tells you, you know, normal people don't have their home like this, because I can assure you that a lot of people do. And some people have it better and some people have it worse, but it is what it is. Then there's guilt. Now, guilt is a tricky one because it comes up in a lot of different ways. It could be that you're holding on to something that someone else gifted you and you really don't like the thing, or maybe, you know, it's already lived past its life, but you feel guilty letting it go because it was a gift. Someone else thought of you and got that thing for you. Or you feel like it would hurt the person if they knew that you were letting it go. But first of all, the chances of them finding out are slim to none. And second of all, if they do find out, I doubt that when a person gives you a gift, they're expecting you to keep it until the day that you die. And if they are, then maybe that's something that they need to work on, not you. There's also the guilt of feeling like it's wasteful to get rid of something because maybe it's something that you thought you were going to use more and you didn't use at all, or you used it just a couple of times and you forgot about it. That also ties into money guilt, which is I spent good money on this, so now I can't get rid of it. Whether that's because you bought something that you thought was going to fix or help or solve something in your life and it didn't work in the way that you expected it to, or maybe it's that you had an idea for a hobby and you spent a lot of money because you wanted to try this hobby and then you never did it, or maybe you did it but you didn't like it as much. Take the lesson, right? Okay, I did this and I didn't like it as much. Take the lesson, and maybe next time spend a little less money if you're starting something new. Just buy the bare minimum, and then if you really like the hobby, then you can invest more. But also take the lesson just in the sense of like, hey, you found something that you don't like, which means that this door is now shut, and now you have a lot of other doors of things that you can try. What guilt tricks us into believing is that by keeping the object, we are fixing the mistake. Like, that's literally what it tries to tell you. It's like, if you keep this, then you won't hurt this person who gifted it to you. If you keep this, then you didn't waste your money. Or if you keep this, whatever. But really, it's just a trap. because you already spent the money. Keeping the object stored away in your garage or on a random shelf when you're not using it doesn't make the item more useful to you. The waste already happened. Let it go. Maybe it will be useful for someone else. And by keeping it, you are actually blocking that object from being useful for someone else. Letting it go gives it a chance to be useful for someone else. And then there's past you. Past you comes up a lot in decluttering. You know, the one who wore those clothes, the one who loved that hobby, the one who read those books, or the one from a past chapter in your life, just simply put. Sometimes it feels like you're erasing that person, and you're not. Those memories are still with you, and you carry them. You carry those versions of yourself in the person that you've become today. That doesn't mean you need to carry around this stuff too. In fact, I'd love to hear from you. What's one past you item that you know you want to get rid of? Share it in the comments. I don't know if I have a specific one in mind, but I know that books are probably part of it. I know there's probably some books that I know I'm not going to read again, but also I enjoyed the book and so I want to keep it, but that makes no sense if I'm not going to read it because someone else could read it. Like, you know. But the other thing is that if past you is going to come up, you can sure as hell bet that future you is also going to show up and be like, hey, here I am. You know, the future you that's cooking elaborate dinners and so has a lot of like kitchen gadgets, or the future you that really actually is going to read that super thick classic book that you've never actually opened, or the future you that's wearing like a perfectly curated wardrobe every day and is always in heels, or the future you who's painting every Sunday morning with oils and acrylics and like, I don't know, whatever. Letting go of idealized versions of you can feel like letting go of a dream. It can feel like letting go of someone that you want to be, of someone that you want to embody. But also, what I want you to ask yourself when this comes up is this actually something I want? Is this actually a person I want to embody? Because sometimes it comes from other people who told us that this is what we should want. Other times it comes from, well, yeah, at some point I would have loved to be a painter and paint on Sunday mornings, but right now I would rather just spend Sunday mornings baking. And so then why are you still keeping the paintbrush? Letting go of the future you things releases the pressure to become someone that you don't necessarily want to become anymore. And maybe you never even did want to become them, if you're honest, like I said before. And there's a real freedom in that, because decluttering also brings up our beliefs. That's another one, right? The beliefs that we have of like, if I get rid of this, it means I'm ungrateful, or if I get rid of this, it means I'm wasteful, or if I get rid of this, it means that I was never actually really committed to being a painter like I said I wanted to be. It brings up a lot of the stories that we tell ourselves about our lives and about what's important to us. But those stories, we have to make sure are the stories that we actually want to tell at the end of our lives. These beliefs can be powerful, but they're not always true, right? Sometimes it's if I keep this object, I'll become the kind of person who uses it. Will you? Are you even interested in that? Facing that is hard, because there's nothing harder than deconstructing our own beliefs and unlearning them. But also, like facing future you and past you, it brings freedom with it and a release of pressure that you've put on yourself for years now. Because these items have become a reminder of things that you should be doing. Should you? Really? I don't know. I don't think so. And then there's memories, I want to say, that come up with items as well. Sometimes you pick up an object, and sometimes decluttering can feel like a time capsule, in the sense of you're going through different parts of your life and different moments in your life, and it feels like going back in time a little bit. And so you pick up an object and suddenly you're on that first date again, or you pick up an object and you're back at your childhood home, or you pick up an object and you're at your grandmother's house, you know, whatever those memories are. which is why decluttering is not just sorting objects. It's like living your past life or revisiting your past life, but in a fast forwardy way. And sometimes we don't want to let go of those things because we feel like if we let go, we're going to forget. There's a decluttering concept that I've seen online before where people say, take a photo of the object, keep the photo, get rid of the object. I've done that before. It's not my favorite thing to do. But what I will say is you're going to remember the important stuff. You know, keeping that mug or that magnet or that whatever does not hold the memory power that you think it does. And with memory comes one of the toughest feelings, which is grief. That's the last one I'm going to mention here. There's a bunch more, but just of the ones I'm going to mention today in this video, there's grief, right? Which is the heaviest, it's the hardest. Ooh, my eyes got watery there. Sometimes it's grief for a person you've lost or a pet. Sometimes it's grief for the past version of you. And keeping those items feels like holding on, and getting rid of those items and that stuff feels like letting go, or like you're done with this, when you're not. When the love is still there, and that's why the grief is there. Sometimes it's grief for a chapter of your life that's now closed. Even if you're happy where you are right now, you can still feel grief towards a past chapter of your life that you also enjoyed. And this one is really hard to deal with because you have to be okay with feeling those feelings of grief and letting those feelings exist. It doesn't always come as tears. Sometimes it comes as like a lump in your throat or your chest feeling heavy when you stumble upon a specific item. But whatever way it does come up, grief is usually asking you to slow down. It's not just a decision about an item, it becomes a moment of mourning, and you should allow yourself to have that moment. I said this in the last video and I'll say it again. Decluttering isn't just physical, it is emotional work. Every item you pick up has the potential to bring up a memory that can bring up all of these feelings that we've talked about and a whole lot more that I didn't mention in this video. And when you're already running low on time or energy, the emotional weight can hit a lot harder than the physical weight. This isn't just stuff. These aren't just things. These are emotional triggers. This is going into the items that surround you, knowing they're gonna push every single button. Your shame, your guilt, your grief, your, idealized versions of you, your shoulds, your beliefs, like it's gonna push it all. It's gonna bring it all to the surface. I just wanna remind you that avoiding these feelings doesn't get you anywhere, but facing them isn't easy as well. And so it's really important that we're gentle with ourselves in the process, and that we realize that even if we only get rid of one thing this week, that's progress. We gotta know when to stop. We gotta listen to ourselves when we've had enough, when we're feeling overwhelmed, and also know when to keep going. And it takes, a lot of self-awareness to actually know when those moments are for you. So be gentle with yourself, but also remember that shedding these parts of our lives also opens us up and makes space for new parts of our lives. We can't fully jump into a new chapter of our lives until we've let go of the past ones and or closed the past chapters. And we can't make space for awesome new feelings and experiences if we haven't fully let go of the past ones. When you declutter, you are saying, I deserve space, I deserve clarity, I deserve peace, I deserve to be able to jump into the next chapter of my life fully and completely and wholly and in the way that most matters to me. And that's the goal. But we also want to honor all the feelings that come up in our journey towards that goal. And speaking of that, I have one more question for you if you're willing to answer in the comments. What's one thing that you want to make space for the next chapter in your life? Share in the comments. I know that mine has to do a lot with art and creativity. I really want to get back into creating and drawing and painting a lot more again, now that I'm going to have a space where I can do more of that in our new apartment. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. I make new ones like this every single Friday. If there's anything you'd like me to talk about, you can also leave that below in the comments and I will add it to my list of videos to create if I feel like I can talk about that. And yeah, until then, stay wild, stay weird, and I'll see you in the next one.